We are crossover handicapping in Harness Night School. Tom Kelley, the host of Harness Night School, with Jeremy Plunk. And we're talking about the differences between thoroughbred racing and harness handicapping. The layoffs, the time between races. We're looking at a shorter interval in harness racing. How long are these horses resting in between starts?
Well, in an ideal situation, a harness horse will start at once a week. I mean, that's one of the toughest things, and I do a little crossover handicapping with doing some work for some other tracks with their thoroughbreds. And it's one of the hardest things for me to get used to, is seeing a horse come off the bench 90 days, 120 days, I mean, even a year, and just show a couple of workouts and be ready to go right out of the box. Harness racing, if these horses miss 2 weeks, you can almost bet that they'll be a little bit short, with the exception of some of the higher class horses where they're picking and choosing their spots in stake races. But for the overnight horses, the claimers, they should be in every week, and they'll get their breaks periodically throughout the year where they may get turned out for a month, take a month to get them back in training and be back at the top of their game. But for the most part, you like to see a harness horse out there almost every week.
When a thoroughbred horse has been off for a certain amount of time, it's a rule that they have to have a workout, at least one published workout, to get back into racing. And how we evaluate that workout tab as thoroughbred handicappers is what we're looking at. In harness racing, they don't have the morning workouts. Do they have to do anything to become eligible to run back after a layoff?
No, they've got morning qualifiers at most tracks. A couple of tracks will run them before the start of the night cards. Maywood Park is one of those tracks that runs a couple of qualifiers before their Thursday night cards. But a horse must qualify if he's been off 45 days or more. Another thing that would force a horse to qualify is if he makes breaks in 2 consecutive starts and doesn't finish 5th or higher in one of those starts, or if he shows breaks in 3 consecutive starts. Then he goes on the steward's list and he's forced to see the starter in one of the morning preps.
Now, those qualifiers you talk about, I believe I know this, but they have to hit a certain time in order to qualify, right? There's a standard they have to eclipse?
Yes, they basically just have to beat a time. It's a race against the clock. It's not, you're really not racing against the horses in the race. And most trainers, if they're just trying to get a horse back to the races, will just do enough to beat that time. And the times are adjusted for 2-year-olds, for 3-year-olds, for the older horses as to what the standard is that they have to beat. But once again, just keep in mind when you're looking at a qualifying line on a horse, they're just trying to basically beat the clock, not the other horses in the race.
So quite a difference there between the harness and the thoroughbred side. The harness horse is running much more frequently, and to get back, they actually have to beat a standard to get back on the work or on the race tab after being laid off, whereas the thoroughbred horse just has to show a published workout. Quite a difference as we handicap the 2 different breeds.